also just think it's a shame because I remember when John Kerry did this to George W. Bush in 2004, and you work so hard, and I know that they're disappointed, but you should concede and let your opponent have their election night, and let everybody that's there at Trump. At Mar-a-Lago, where are they? They're in Palm Beach.
They're in West Palm, at the convention center.
At the convention center. Like, let them have their moment without anyone. Like, I remember Andy Card had to come in and say, well, yes, we know we won, but we have to wait until John Kerry concedes. And then we all had to traipse back in the next morning and wait, and you don't get that moment. I don't think it's right.
Well, surprise, surprise. Fox News is being hypocritical about Kamala Harris not conceding her loss of the election the night of the election. Meanwhile, Donald Trump still has not conceded his loss in 2020.
What's your question?
My question is, do you think the last time there was a peaceful transfer of power when you left office?
No, I think the people that, if you look at January 6th, which a lot of people aren't talking about very much, I think those people were treated very harshly when you compare them to other things that took place in this country where a lot of people were killed. Nobody was killed on January 6th. But I think that the people of January 6th were treated very unfairly. And they were there to complain, not through me. They were there to complain about an election. And, you know, it's very interesting. The biggest crowd I've ever spoken to.
There he is, the leader of the free world, saying that those people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th were treated unfairly. We're screwed.
Go into the enemy camp. And you know, the enemy camp is certain networks. And a lot of people don't like this. Sir, do I have to do that? He just goes, okay. Which one? CNN, MSDNC?
And here he is, our new president, giving his unifying speech and bringing people together by attacking the media.
Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
And there you have Kamala Harris the next day saying that she concedes and that she's going to commit to a peaceful transfer of power, which is something we never heard from Donald Trump. He didn't even show up at the Joe Biden inauguration. Remember, he flew off. I mean, people forget how crazy it was that this guy lost 2020 very clearly and yet continued to perpetuate this lie. And it led to an attack on the Capitol, and it led to attacks on police. And it led to almost an overthrowing of our democracy. And yet somehow that person who led that insurrection back then is now president again. I don't know what to tell you, folks. I'm as confused as everybody. I am as emotional as everybody. We really don't know where we're headed. It feels very dark where we're headed because he promised what he's going to do. Some people say, no, these are just, things he says in the campaign. That's what people said when he was talking about the Muslim ban in the 2016 election. And if you remember, what happened was as soon as he got into power, maybe a week or so in, he implemented the Muslim ban. And the issue was that it was chaotic. Remember, the airports weren't letting in people who might have had visas that were coming in. They were turning people back. There was protests in the airports. It got very chaotic, and it took them several times of trying to implement the Muslim ban till they finally were able to do it in a way that passed the courts, and they were able to limit people coming from certain Muslim countries, and they weren't able to call it a Muslim ban. They just called it a travel ban. Point is, that was something he said he's going to do, and he did it. And now he's talking about he wants to deport 20 million undocumented illegal workers or whatever he's been saying, immigrants. And everyone keeps asking how? What's going to happen? So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But most likely, if he's going to implement it and keep his word the way he said, you're going to end up with Homeland Security or DHS or you're going to end up with some sort of force that's going to be out and about in the streets and at homes, knocking on people's doors and saying, hey, we have some reason to believe that you're undocumented or you're not here legally, and then deport them. And in deporting these people, you're going to have to probably put them in some camps on the way out. You don't just put them in a nice car and drive them out. It's going to be dark. It's going to be dark. And yet, Kamala Harris believed in democracy enough to give her concession speech because she lost handily, and she should have given the concession speech. But Donald Trump also lost, and he tried to go to the courts many times when he lost in 2020, and none of the courts agreed that he had any kind of basis for the voter fraud, and yet he never conceded. And to this day, he still says that he didn't lose in 2020. So it's kind of an uneven playing field, right? We got one guy who's delusional and autocratic and won somehow, and we have someone else who's saying, I want to uphold democracy and be part of a peaceful transfer of power. Again, I wish the outcome had been different. I wish that the American people had seen the danger that this new gentleman proposes. Not new, he's been around, but the new president now proposes to implement on us. And I mean, this is democracy, I guess. It's very messy, but maybe we won't have a democracy. Let's see how he handles it. He said in the campaigning, remember he was in front of, I think it was evangelicals, and he said, if you vote this election, you'll never have to vote again. Now, again, the people that defend him said, no, what he meant was he's going to fix all the problems of America, so they'll never have to worry about problems again. But really, I think what he meant was that it's going to be a dictatorship. And he's an old guy, so I don't know how long his dictatorship is going to last, but he'll just pass it on to somebody else. And we could be going into The Handmaid's Tale. Hate to be depressing on this video, folks, but that seems to be where we're headed. We saw him talking about those January 6th people that were arrested for January 6th. He said he's going to pardon them. That's right, he's going to pardon those insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. I'm originally from Iran, which is a country in the Middle East, and I wonder what would have happened if the people that have stormed January 6th were brown people or people of color. I wonder if he'd be still trying to pardon them and say that they were, good people, tourists. Now they're hostages. They were treated unfairly. I mean, what kind of crap is that? Am I the only one seeing this? Or do you guys see this? It's crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I need to turn myself around and start seeing things his way. I don't think so. So folks, here's where we are. We're at a place where even though Kamala lost, even though she conceded, you still have Fox News with their agenda. You still have a lot of people on the right wing with their agenda criticizing her for taking 24 hours to concede. I don't know what took her a little time to concede. Maybe they needed to write the speech. Maybe they wanted to make sure that they had done all the counts the way that they were done right. And then once they realized there's no path, all right, let's go and concede. And meanwhile, that news anchor on Fox was worried that the people at Mar-a-Lago couldn't celebrate. Just stupid. Just plain stupid. Because your guy still has not conceded. Still has not conceded. Think about that. Take that to the bank, Fox News. Guys, let's see what happens. And I don't know. I was telling everybody before in my previous videos, I would say vote, but it's too late. You didn't vote. You didn't vote. And here we are. I'm comedian Maz Jobrani. I've got a special on YouTube. It's called The Birds and the Bees. All right. If you want to laugh, check it out. It'll get your mind off of this for a little bit. And I'm also on tour all over the country. So go to mazjobrani.com. Come see me live. And I feel like we're now part of the band playing on the Titanic as we're sinking. So come laugh with me as we sink. All right. Bye.